Hey guys, so I started this channel and it was partially about real estate, how to invest in real estate. Something else I want to cover a little bit on this channel is just kind of the general skills that you have to develop to be a good investor. So I read a lot. I think you guys know that. So I kind of read a mix of business books, real estate books, and then I'm also really into the personal development type books. And I've done a couple videos here so far on books that have really helped me, both with my regular career as well as real estate. And I wanted to go over one today. So this book is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. So this book has been hugely helpful for me in real estate. And the title might sound a little bit off-putting, especially the influence people part, but it's really about teaching you how to have more effective relationships with people and how to more effectively communicate, deal with conflicts and things like that. So I wanted to go over kind of the top key points from this book. So I'm just going to pick, there's a lot of ideas in this book, but I'm just going to kind of pick the top 5 ones that have helped me out the most. So one of the first things that Dale Carnegie talks about is, if you want to build a good relationship with a person, you need to become genuinely interested in that person, not just from the work environment, but, personally. So you need to learn about that person, figure out what their interests are, and, get to know them on a little bit more deeper level than just your working relationship. So, a lot of the ideas in this book seem like common sense, and in a way they are common sense, but they're also, just as they're easy to do, they're easy to not do, and they're easy to forget. And especially when you get busy with things, it's very easy to forget things. And that's the reason I come back to this book regularly and review the ideas. So the second one is, remember that person's name. So if you've ever walked into, a gym or a coffee shop, or somewhere that you go to regularly, if the person there at the counter greets you and says your name, you kind of get this warm fuzzy feeling, and it makes you feel important. It makes you feel good, right? So one of the most important things that you can do when you meet somebody new is use their name in conversation. And I will be the first to admit I am guilty of this. And I have to really consciously think about it to remember somebody's name. So a good trick that that I do is, when somebody tells me their name, I think about it, I repeat it back to myself a few times in my head, and then 5 minutes later, so I will try to remember it again, and then it kind of sticks when you do that. So I went back and reviewed this book today, and that's something I need to be more diligent about doing, is using that person's name, because it goes a long ways towards building rapport with a person. The second one is be a good listener. So, from my experience in the corporate world, there's really a misconception that if you want to move up, you need to be bragging about yourself. You kind of have something to prove. You need to tell them, why I'm good at my job, right? So there's this kind of this need to prove yourself. The reality is, if you're sitting down with an upper manager, if you listen 75% of the time, so get that person talking, look for feedback from them, ask them how they got to where they are today, what's helped them out. Get that person talking and get to know them and listen to them. That goes so far towards building a relationship with them. And they see, hey, this guy's really trying to learn and grow, versus somebody that's just trying to, brag and tell me everything about themselves. So, that goes a long ways. And the other thing is, when you're talking, you're not learning. So if you're listening, you're learning. You might actually learn something from that other person, where if you're just talking, you're basically just repeating stuff that you already know, right? So that's another key point. And then talk in terms of the other person's interests. So, like for me, I love real estate. So as soon as somebody asks me a question about real estate, my eyes light up, and I will just, I could talk for days about real estate stuff. And when you get to know a person and you figure out what their interests are, ask them about them. So maybe for another person's, it's cars, or it's fishing, or, sports, or, they've got something that they're really interested and passionate about. If you can get that person talking about it, they're gonna absolutely form a deeper bond with you, and you'll have a deeper, more meaningful relationship. And then the last one here is make the other person feel important and do it sincerely. So, I think one of the skills that I've really developed is, especially this is something I use in the corporate world, but is letting people know that you appreciate what they're doing, and then also helping them to understand why their job is important in the bigger picture, right? So it's really all about perspective. So, when we're doing real estate, for example, so let's say it's one of our contractors who's rehabbing a house. Well, he might think, I'm just doing a job to get paid, right? Well, no, there's actually more to that. We're taking these old beat down houses, we're fixing them up, we're improving neighborhoods, we're revitalizing them, we're providing, good rentable homes for people and their families. So like it's all about the perspective. And when you can help somebody to understand, why their job is important, if you can make them feel appreciated for the job that they're doing, also just goes a huge, so far towards building a relationship with that person. So, like I said, I have about 20 books or so that, have really been influential on me, and have really just kind of been, life-changing books for one reason or another. And I try to go back to them and review them regularly. So I keep my list here of, kind of my top books. And, every 6 months or so, I'll go back through the list. And I'll say, oh yeah, I remember that book. Here was kind of the key points from that book. And then I'll ask myself, okay, here's all the things I learned. Am I actually implementing them? Because, you can have all the technical knowledge in the world, but if you're not implementing those practices, it's not going to make a big difference for you. And, the key point, and I guess the whole big idea about this book is kind of similar, is you can have all the technical knowledge about, whatever you're doing. So real estate, maybe it's another business, but whatever you're into, you can have all the technical knowledge in the world. But if you don't have the social skills, you don't know how to deal with people effectively, you don't know how to build relationships, you're doomed, right? Because, the reality is we're social beings, and unless you address that side of it as well, you're not going to be successful. So, I try to learn equally about both the technical as well as the softer skills. So that's all I had for today. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks.